ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। एकमक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् ह्यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति। हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता वा पवनचलनरोधात् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकमहम् बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्ततभावशुक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः। कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिय दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मनाम् सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्। सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्। Namo Ramana. We offer our salutations to Ramana, who shines as the self in all beings, and we begin today's Thursday Self-Enquiry Satsang. In the Thursday Self-Enquiry Satsang, we read two verses, each one of them selected from Muruganar Swami's Guru Vachaka Kovai, which contains the teachings of Bhagavan Ramana and given to us in the form of poetry by Muruganar Swami. We read the English translation of the same and we meditate on its meaning, and we sit down for self-enquiry with that inspiration from those verses for 10 or 15 minutes. And after that, after the meditation sessions, we have the summing up by Venkatesh Deshpandeji. Then this satsang concludes by the offering of Ramana Ashtottaram to Bhagavan Ramana. So when we offer the flowers of attention when the chanting of the Ramana Ashtottara is done. We begin by reading the first verse chosen for today's satsang. It is the verse 491, which is from the chapter 82, which talks about a life of moderation. The verse 491, 491. If the few who are extremely rich gave up their life of luxury instead of embracing it, through that sacrifice, innumerable jivas who would otherwise starve, languish, and suffer intensely in the disease of poverty would live in a life of prosperity. The verse says, if a few who are extremely rich gave up their life of luxury instead of embracing it, through that sacrifice, innumerable jivas who would otherwise starve, languish, and suffer intensely in the disease of poverty would live a life of prosperity. Muruganar Swami gives an explanation. A life of prosperity can be defined as a life in which essential needs such as food, clothing, and so on are being amply met. Once again, I read the explanation by Muruganar Swami. A life of prosperity can be defined as a life in which essential needs such as food, clothing, and so on are being amply met. If a fraction of a ball of rice slips from the mouth of a swaying elephant, the elephant does not suffer on the elephant doesn't suffer on that account, but through that fraction falling, innumerable crawling ants, along with all their relatives, will survive by eating it. Needi Neri, Needi Neri Vilakkam, verse 38. It is the source of this example. I remember an instance where it should have been some festivity at Ramanashramam. It may have well been the Jayanti celebration of Bhagavan, and all the devotees are beautifully putting columns. The columns are the rangolis that they are all putting. And when they're putting the rangolis, Bhagavan comes and inquires the devotees, what is it that you are using to put the rangoli? And the devotee says, this is chalk powder. We are wetting the chalk powder and we are putting the rangoli. And Bhagavan says, oh, that is so sad. You should not use chalk powder while putting columns. Instead, we should use the rice flour. Usually, the rice flour is made into a paste, and that very liquidy paste is used to put beautiful columns, usually in the Tamil Nadu and during the festivities. So, Bhagavan says that that should be used. The rice flour should be used to put the columns. And the reason what he tells is that usually when do we put columns? We put columns when there is festivities. And festivities in India is what? We have a feast to eat. We are all enjoying the feast during the festivities. But what about all the small creatures like ants? So, to even feed them, to include them in our celebration, if the column is put in the rice flour, even the ants can come and enjoy those columns. That it looks beautiful for us, but the ants will come and take small particles of that column and they will also enjoy that celebration. So, such was the love of Bhagwan Ramana. And here in this verse, Bhagwan is telling, so we are the human beings are known for hoarding more and more and more and more and more. So, when a devotee had sent a packet of cashew nuts and it had a note. These cashew nuts are for the dumb friends of Bhagavan. The dumb friends who they were meaning were the squirrels. And the devotee, why did he think that the squirrels are dumb? Because the squirrels do not know how to save the food. If they get cashew nut, they only eat how much ever they want right now, and they leave the rest and go away. So they don't think about the future. But the rats are supposed to be very, very intelligent. So whether they want it or not, they will hoard everything in their houses, in their homes. So the rats are supposed to be intelligent than the squirrels, whom the devotee referred as dumb. So Bhagavan, the devotee who was reading out this message from the devotee, told Bhagavan, I'm feeling sad that this devotee has called your squirrels as your dumb friends. Ramana told, oh, what does he know? The squirrels are very, very intelligent. See, when I am sitting down and reading the paper to grab my attention, they'll all come and they'll start biting the tips of my fingers to grab my attention. And they have supreme faith in the Supreme. The Supreme who has given them food right now will surely give them food later also. They don't worry about the future because they have this complete faith in Supreme. And the human beings think that it's only in holding many, lot of wealth and prosperity alone there is happiness. But look at the monkeys. Monkeys are true sannyasis. They don't hoard any food. One day they eat mango if it's available in that season, and the next day they eat oranges. Next day they eat the rice which is provided by the devotees or whatever is provided. They have that food for that day, and they live on one tree on one day. The other day they live on the other tree. They don't have any fixed homes, and even their attachment with their younger ones, they only take care of them until they grow up to take care of themselves. Once they've grown up, no attachment. They say, go, you lead your life. Such is the detachment of these great monkeys who are all great sannyasis. So we should learn from them, and we should stop hoarding more and more and more and more for us. And Ramana, he has taught us that there is great joy in sharing. So usually when we have heard the story of where when 30 devotees were stuck in Virupaksha cave and it was raining very heavily, so they could not come down the hill. So they all had to stay back that night there itself in the Virupaksha cave, and there was only food for three people. So what did Ramana do? Ramana would have secretly gone and had his share. But that is not what Ramana teaches us. He told the devotees to mix lot of water into that little rice that they had and give everybody a small portion of that liquid. And all the 30 devotees drank that, and magically they felt they were all full. They did not feel any need of any food. So that such was the greatness, the Leela of Bhagavan, which tells us when we share, there is enough for everyone. So this example of how elephant, which is eating food, and it drops a small portion of the food, and that food can feed so many uh, little creatures like the ants. So similarly, we have one the song on garden tea party where Ramana is having a garden tea party with his three best friends. The little squirrel, one baby monkey, and a baby goat. And Ramana has a packet of cashew, the groundnuts, the peanuts, and he's he's sharing it equally. One to the baby squirrel, one to the baby goat, one to the baby monkey. Tata had the fourth. One to the baby squirrel, one to the baby goat, one to the baby monkey. Tata had the fourth. He's sharing it equally with everyone. And the song says when they are dropping small portions of that peanut on the ground, and the ants are coming and taking part of that party. They're also coming and enjoying that peanuts. So it says that when we share, there is enough for everyone. So when we hold, then some person will have more and some person will not have. So Ramana says that stop hoarding. Instead, in that sacrifice, that many people who are all in poverty, they will all get the life of prosperity. So Ramana says, if a person comes and asks for them dhanam, you feel happy that he is giving you an opportunity to give him a dhanam. So you be happy to give. You do not have to think, I am rich. So you don't have to think about I am greater than him in the hierarchy. I am rich and I am giving some dhanam to this person. Usually in the Indian tradition, what we do is if we are giving dhanam, we make them sit down and we wash the feet of that dani and thank him for giving us an opportunity to serve him and then give the dhanam. So this not only will uh, bless that poor man with the life of prosperity, but also remind us that we have got this wealth that we enjoy, all the privileges that we have got is by divine blessing. So, to remember that divine blessing, it is told that we should share our wealth. And the most important, very, very precious treasure which Ramana has given is the self. So the Ramana, who is a great jnani, who is the richest one, Srimantam, he is called by Jagadishwara Shastri. And that Srimantam, he has come down to our level and he has given us this sweet nectar of self-enquiry. So we remember we are all ants, and he is the huge elephant, and he, the Jnana elephant, Bhagavan Ramana, has given us the Uchishtam, his prasadam he has given us. So it is important that we relish this prasadam, remembering that supreme power which has brought Ramana into our lives, who is none other than the very self, but he has come in this form to reveal the greatness, the richness that we are actually not poor. We are the supreme self, which is the Lord of the universe, to remind us of our own true treasure, to remind us of our own true wealth. Ramana has come into our lives. There is this beautiful talk I remember. It's the talk number 111, talk, where Bhagavan is remembering one conversation that he had with the Ganapati Muni. And Ganapati Muni came to Bhagavan and told Bhagavan, if a person has 5 rupees a month, okay, it's long, long time back. No, no, 5 rupees, it can be equated to some 50,000 now if you want. Okay, if somebody gets a salary of that much amount, then he can lead a happy life, asks Ganapati Muni. And Bhagavan Ramana smiles and says, a person can truly be happy only when he understands that he does not need anything from outside to be happy. So even if you think that person who is getting 50,000 salary, is he happy? No, he's not happy. He wants 1 lakh as salary every month. The person who is getting 1 lakh, is he happy? No, he wants to get 1 crore. So there is no happiness in the amount of salary that you're going to get. But the true happiness can only be attained only when we understand that there is nothing required from outside to be happy. Our very nature is happiness. If we understand this, then alone we can truly be happy. So Ramana has given us the path of self-enquiry to understand this truth. So whenever the mind is moving outward, you remind the mind there is no happiness in moving outward to achieve anything outside, to possess anything from outside. The true happiness lies within. So whenever the thought arises, instead of pursuing the thought, quickly turn your attention towards the source of the thought and ask, for whom is this thought? And the answer is for me. And quickly ask the question, who am I? And hold on to this question, which will lead us to our true nature, which is happiness. And once we have the taste of that happiness, we will truly understand that we are the richest of all the beings in the universe. So let us practice self enquiry for the next 10 minutes. Bhagavate Shri Ramana. We'll move to the next verse, which has been chosen for us for today's satsang. It is the verse number 1017. Verse number 1017. The seer I, aham, is false. Things that are seen by it as this, idam, is also false. Similarly, the consciousness that remains as the instrument for the seer to see the object is also completely false. In addition to these triputis, the Moola Prakriti, which causes their appearance, is false as well. Only the subtle space of jnana, whose form is consciousness, is true. Once again, let me read. The seer, aham, I, is also false. Things that we see as this, idam, is also false. Similarly, the consciousness that remains as the instrument for the seer to see the object is also completely false. In addition to these triputis, the Moola Prakriti, which causes their appearances, is false as well. Only the subtle space of jnana, whose form is consciousness, is true. The Moola Prakriti is both the cause and the effect of the world creation. The Moola Prakriti is both the cause and the effect of the world creation. As such is the analog, it is analogous to Maya. It is also the latent state of the world during Pralaya, the cosmic dissolution. It appears within Brahman, the formless consciousness that is jnana, but it is not ultimately real. But it is not ultimately real. Durgana Swami explains the false consciousness mentioned first refers to the attributed consciousness. The subtle space of jnana refers to the extremely pure space of attribute free consciousness which shines as pure being. Hence, these two are quite different. Chitram Balam, that is the Chidambaram, as a subtle space of consciousness, the heart space, and Chidakasha, the space of consciousness, all refers to the later. This is the true form of God who shines as the Atma Swarupa. Here, I remember an instance, a conversation which a great devotee called Sub-Registrar Narayan Iyer. He came to Bhagavan, and actually his first meeting is that he thought he had first before meeting Bhagavan, he had gone to the book stall and he had purchased one Ulladu Narpadu book, 40 verses of reality. And he tried reading those verses and did not make any sense to him. He thought, what is this? Nothing makes sense. In the first verse of uh, Saddarshanam, it says that the world looks all these beautiful things. But Ramana says the seer and the seer, seen, and the screen and light are all one. There is no difference. He is not able to understand how can as I am the seer and I am seeing you. How can we all be one? So he was confused. And then he went to Bhagavan, and at there, Bhagavan was explaining these verses of Ulladu Narpadu, and his explanation Bhagavan was giving just for Narayana here, as if he was actually telling to the devotees, but it went straight into the heart of Narayana here, and he was able to understand every word of this Ullada Narpada, which he could not understand when he read. So such is the Guru Kataksham, that which is very, very obvious. By the blessings of the Guru, it becomes very, very, you get the clarity and you understand it. And Narayana in one of the conversation says he's sitting with Bhagavan, and Bhagavan is sitting on the couch, and there's a barricade that is separating him and Bhagavan, and he's sitting on the floor in the meditation hall, the old hall. And then he asks Bhagavan, Bhagavan, you say that everybody is one, but I see you. I see this couch that you are sitting on. I see these barricades. I see myself. I see the floor. I see the roof. How can all these be false? And Ramana says, yes, everything is false. But there is one who is seeing all these things. That he is the nature of Paripurna Jnana. He is of in the space of consciousness. He is the space of consciousness. He alone is real. Hold on to him. In one of the song, Sadhu Swami says, நீயுமில்லை நானுமில்லை ஏழுலக கூட்டமில்லை. You are not there, I am not there, and this Ulaga, there is 7 worlds. Put up all the people, all the beings in the 7 worlds. Nothing is real. ஏழுலக கூட்டமில்லை தூய பரஞானம் ஒன்றே. That is pure ஞானம் alone. சும்மா இருக்கின்றது. நீயுமில்லை நானுமில்லை ஏழுலக கூட்டமில்லை தூய பர ஞானம் ஒன்றே சும்மா இருக்கின்றது. So this is the mantra which Bhagavan is giving, that don't get caught with I, you, and these differences. When devotees ask Bhagavan, Bhagavan, can a jnani recognize another jnani? Bhagavan replied, there is no other for a jnani at all. The jnani only sees jnana everywhere. He does not see us as this limited body and identity, but he sees each one of us as jnana swarupa. That's why he says, what is there to be attained? The jnana is your own true nature. You are already attained. You just have to realize it. So that is the assurance that Ramana is giving, that all these differences of I, the seer, this the scene, and this the instrument that I'm using, this eyes to see, this mind to think and understand, this intellect to discriminate, all these are all false because they keep changing. I was able to see and read very well before when I was young, but now small characters cannot be seen by this eye. This is flawed instrument which is ever changing. I am not able to recognize all the colors which others may be able to recognize. I may be not able to see the small details which others may be able to see. So these instruments, including the eye and the mind and the limited intellect, they are all flawed. They are all false. So do not perceive the things as seen by these flawed instrument. Instead, turn the attention within. Instead of turning the attention outwards, turn the attention within with the question, who am I? And when you understand the basis of all awareness, the basis of all knowledge, and the basis of your own existence, that is pure jnana. That is our true nature. And Ramana says, hold on to that alone, because that alone is truth. And that alone is reality, because it is unchanging, unmoving. சும்மா இருக்கின்றது. It is always still and silent. Hold on to that, says Bhagavan Ramana. Let us sit down for self-enquiry for the next 15 minutes, where we hold on to that pure jnana, not get caught with this limited knowledge that these instruments, including this body, mind, and intellect, are giving us. Instead, we turn our attention to the basis of this instrument of consciousness, which is that space of consciousness, the Chidambaram, which Bhagavan is speaking about. Let us hold on to that space of consciousness within with the enquiry, who am I? We'll sit down for self enquiry for the next 15 minutes. Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana. I request Deshpandeji to give the summing up remarks, after which we'll have the offering of Ramana Stotra.
Oh, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dhyanamoolam Gurur Murti, Pujamulam Gurur Padam, Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam, Mokshamulam Guru Ramana. Two parts that are being talked about today. First part is with regard to life in moderation. See, everything should be done in moderation. Why do they say moderation? Because there is something for everybody in this world. If God creates a human being, for example, He's already provided that individual all that is needed for the individual to be happy. It's already been provided. But what happens? Some people get a little bit more. Some people want more. It's just like I keep giving the example of a buffet. You need only two chapatis. But what happens? You go for a buffet. You pay 1,000 rupees. I want to eat lots of food. Now, your body needs it? No, body doesn't need it. It's a want. then what happens? It's a sin because you're eating somebody else's food. Bhagavan has provided for everybody, everybody's needs, but not for everybody's wants. So this is a very important thing in our sadhana. We have to do everything in moderation. That's why Bhagavan, when there was food, he wanted everybody to get the same amount of food. He would reprimand anybody who would give him more food compared to anybody else. Why? Because he saw that one in all, that one consciousness in all. But we don't seem to see that. Imagine you get a beggar at home and you get the Maharaja of Mysore also in your house, both at the same time. Well, whom will you give VIP treatment? You're not going to give the beggar a VIP treatment. You'll give the Maharaja of Mysore a VIP treatment. But Bhagwan is not like that. For him, the beggar was also the self, and the Maharaja of Mysore was also the self. He would not differentiate. Forget about human beings, even with squirrels, with birds, with animals, he would treat all of them alike. Why? Everybody is Bhagwan Surupa. Everybody is the consciousness. So, what happens? Everything you should do in moderation. You should share it equally with everybody. So if you have maids in your house and she's made a lovely meal for you at home, you should share that equally with them also. Because that jiva is also Bhagwan Swarupa. It's not that you eat more and the maid eats yesterday's food or day for yesterday's food. No, you should give them fresh food to eat. So that's one part of the thing. The second thing is consciousness. Importantly, in our sadhana, we should continuously be with we know this drishya, viveka. This discrimination has to be important, very, very important in sadhana. Otherwise, what happens? You feel that this drishya is all very, very true. But if you use discrimination, viveka, it's you realize that behind all these objects, then happens? You will start being in who you really are and not get carried away by the objects. When you see yourself, when you say, I am Venkatesh, what should come to your mind is, I am the Satchidananda Atman and not this body and what you associate, each one of us associates with. Be very, very conscious about this. And that's what self inquiry does. Whenever you are associating with the mind or with this body or with the objects in the world, it says you are not using Viveka. That's why immediately, for whom is this thought? For me, who am I? Go back to the seer, not to the seen. This is very important in our sadhana. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana. Thank you.
Thank you, Deshi. I request Vaibhavji and Prarthanama to chant the Ramanashtottaram, and we will all offer the flowers of attention to the Ramana who shines as our own very self in the heart.
Namo Ramana. Bharatvaja Vishwanatha Virachitam Sri Ramanashtottara Shatanamavali Apara Satchit Sukhavari Rashe Yasyorni Matram Bhuvanam Samastam Guhahitam Tam Ramanam Gabhiram Chinta Vihinam Hridi Chintayami Om Mahastena Mahomsena Jataya Namaha Om Sri Ramanaya Namaha Om Gurave Namaha Om Akhanda Samvidakaraaya Namaha Om Mahaujase Namaha Om Karanodbhavaya Namaha Om Jagadhitavataraaya Namaha Sri Bhuminatasthalostitaya Namaha Om Parasharukuluttamsaya Namaha Om Sundararya Tapafalaya Namaha Om Kamaliya Sucharitraya Namaha Om Sahayamba Sahayavate Namaha Om Shonachala Manasaaya Namaha Om Swarnahastakaya Namaha Om Sri Madhvatashanta Mahasale Labdha Vidyodayaya Namaha Om Mahashakti Nipate Prabhuddhaya Namaha Om Paramarthavide Namaha Om Tivraya Namaha Om Pitrupadandeshine Namaha ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः। ॐ पितुरादेशतः शूर्णशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसम्रम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ च्यूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मृत्रिले नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजतचलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दिक्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणस्य निधाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराज्ये नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः। ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्री शोणाचलऋद्बोधस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिवृन्देन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावलिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुरुने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ भावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादकसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मन्देन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ ऋचान्तिकसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसाराणवतारकाय नमः। शोणादृशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ आर्तविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ सुखाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। वृक्षध्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थानोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्याजलिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविमर्शस्तादात्म्यभावगतः निर्दिष्टस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनासेकरा तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नमः लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। ॐ भगवते श्रीरमण।
Thank you, Vaibhavji and Pratharama. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.